And Lynn.
And we're here today to bring you our latest podcast. You know you couldn't wait for it. Today's podcast I will start with is The Color Purple.
Finally! So excited for this. So excited.
Oldie buddy goodie. And as we have this review, as we conduct this review, we are drinking Apothic Rosé. California.
Because the Apothic is a favorite amongst this wine group.
Wait, so back to this book to movie adaptation.
Yes.
Written by Alice Walker.
Wonderful. Who was here recently at she was doing a
reading at Busboys and Poets.
Yeah, Busboy and Poets. So
yeah.
One thing I want to say is I actually remember reading this in high school because we had to choose like a book to do like our thesis paper because we actually had to write a paper longer than like 3 paragraphs, and they were like choosing different like books or whatever and movies, and I like legit remember saying like, all right, well, black author, black like storyline, I want to read this. And I read it at 16, 17-ish, and I was so excited to read it as a 35-year-old adult because I'm like, all right, I have to have felt differently from 14, 15 to 35. So I'm going to say that before, but I was really excited to reread this book.
Yeah.
That way.
So interestingly, I've never read this book, but I've watched the movie
about... Wait, all these years?
I never read The Color Purple, but I watched the movie a billion gazillion times. Although I know Champagne has watched it more than I have, but I did watch it a lot. But I've never read the book, so this was my first experience reading the book.
I thought we had to have a conversation about that, but okay, well, yeah. All these years of our book club, so who knows? But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know this movie by heart, literally.
you know by heart.
Yeah. Me and you.
Speak to me. Sorry.
Okay, so
I love the movie.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Yeah, let's talk about the book.
Yes, before we get into the movie, discuss the book.
Okay, so I really, really enjoyed the book. I was so into the movie in my head, and I'm like, all right, well, I know it's not gonna be the same. So I started listening to the book because I listened to it on Audible, which was actually an amazing experience because there were people that were reading it was actually into everything about it, and there were certain parts that I'm like for example, when Nettie and Celie were reading their letters back and forth, and I'm like, how did that span across so many letters? They could cut that out, but everything else besides that to me fit, and I loved that. I was so excited of the ups and downs and all of Celie's down parts and her experiencing her body and experiencing her life and making pants and just smiling with her face covered. It was just I was happy the whole book.
Right.
So I think in the book they went into so much more detail about the relationship and her learning her body, the whole description of, touch your pokey thing or whatever she said in the book. I can't remember what it was, but that was nice because they downplayed that in the movie. They downplayed the deepness of their relationship to me in the movie. So I would say when I first started reading the book, I got really disappointed because the way that they were describing the way the characters looked were not how they cast for the movie. So I kind of started off mad. Why did they pick that Suge Knight? She don't look anything like she was described in the book. And I mean,
Hollywood.
You said Suge Knight?
I said Suge Knight. I did.
Right.
I did,
I love you for that.
But yeah, the way that they described her. So I was angry about that because I was just oh, this is Hollywood's way of trying to display what a beautiful black woman looked like. But I got over it. But I would agree with you. After I finished the book and then rewatched the movie, I was like, okay, yeah. They did capture most of it, but I can see why they had to condense a lot of it. Otherwise, the movie would have been 4 or 5 hours.
Easy. Y'all have to bear with me because, like I said, I've seen this movie 1,000 times, so my notes may reflect the opposite, movie versus book in a sense. But as many times as I've seen this movie, I never knew why this book was called The Color Purple. I never really even thought about it. I never even looked it up. So I try to.
God can't ignore it.
Huh?
The color purple is there. It's true. You can't ignore it.
Exactly.
And so it's funny because I'm gonna cut you off, but like I really wanted to know how you felt because you have talked about watching Color Purple like over all these years of us, of course, being family. And like you had talked about how like one of your favorite movies, and like you and I have like made a joke about like random things throughout the movie. Yeah. And I really want to know your opinion about the book. So I'm like on pins and needles right now, like what is champagne gonna say?
Actually, I love the book. I almost love the book more than the movie.
Really? I'm so excited.
Mainly because of context.
Huh?
It gave you more context.
Right, and because now that I watched the movie again for the 150,000th time. I watched the movie again. Right. And it answered a lot of questions that I didn't even know I had. Like what happened to Suge and, who I didn't know Suge. And that was probably a me thing of not knowing Suge had 3 kids by Mr. Had no idea that 3 of his kids were hers.
I didn't either.
Yeah, so that kind of answered the question for me also.
And that like answered the dynamic between like her dad and her too, why they were so estranged. Like that was not really touched upon in the movie, but like in that book, it answered that too.
They took it. It was what I expected the movie to be like if I read the book first. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does actually.
Yeah.
It does.
So you always I wondered. It made me wonder the question that I didn't have about Suge's life and what happened once she left and took Celie with her. Her regular life before she even got there. Where she lived, her home, how fancy her home was, how really she was a superstar.
Yeah.
That stuff. I like the fact that they described how Nettie's life was in Africa. They went into a lot more detail about, why she got over there, how she got over there, Celie's kids. So, yeah, the book for me was better than the movie.
Right. Even how she connected with the kids. Because in the movie, it was just sort of like, oh, somehow she ended up with her kids in Africa. Hello, mama.
Right.
Mama. Yeah.
Go figure. They ended up together, but versus like in the book, it was just kind of like, oh, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, or the kids doing this, and like they happen to actually kind of like correspond. And then eventually, like throughout like communication, they realized they were all together versus it being like in the movie it was like, oh yeah, we happen to look alike.
Right.
I know them. They're from this area. So be it.
Mm-hmm.
Very different.
Exactly. Not to be super religious. Okay. But my interpretation from the name of the movie, like you said, The Color Purple, was as God created everything on earth down to the smallest detail so that we may or may not notice it. For example, walking past the color purple and not noticing, it made me think that God would be upset if you didn't notice every little thing that he created or appreciate every little thing that he created. So I absolutely love that even more. I love that book even more.
Right. And she described that in the book so well that you're like, oh, wow.
That makes so much sense. Like now we'll always notice the color purple forever.
Yeah.
Well, yes. And then also, sorry, Shiva, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying like, yes, that God will notice the color purple and like who you are. But my thing was I see it as even like more like you are the color purple, as in like you might not be the brightest, like you may have lavender or like a royal purple, but like everybody has their own distinctual shade of purple. So we all stand out and God notices it all. But that made like a really big significance in my life because coming from a big family and like big dreams and expectations, like you don't know like where you like really stand out. And to hear the words, God does not like ignore the color purple, you feel like you stand out in a certain way. It might not be the way that everybody else wants you to stand out, but like I might be a lighter shade of purple, but I still fucking stand out.
I'm the darker shade then, huh?
Not even at that. I was just saying
They
like
just went real deep on us right then and there.
Yes, you did.
I was going for like a small flower versus a big flower, but we can go for shades, but cool. But like, so my thing was like, you never know like how bright you shine, and you never know how much you like actually portray into others' lives. But as God puts it, you stand alone, and you stand in the color purple. So to me, it meant a lot to me, and I actually cried in that like part. I was like, everybody shines in their own way, and
Right.
Well, but what I totally agree with everything that you said. Everything that you said. But what bothers me is the fact that with all of that, then maybe Alice Walker didn't have the ability to demand certain things. But I say with all of that, they switched Suge to be a lighter than Celie, and Celie was supposed to be the light bright, and Suge was supposed to be dark and beautiful, and that bothers me to no end because
because I was like, we can get the point like from the movie. So I was spoiled by the movie in that aspect versus like in the book where I'm like, all right, we've been going like 6 letters back and forth. Like, all right, so
Oh my gosh.
how many we're going to? Okay, we're going to more. Keep going.
Go ahead, Treva. I'm sorry.
No, I just said I love the details of the letters in the book because it gave us some context to like, even with his wife, like why this other woman was even there at the end of the movie, and then that whole dynamic, the whole dynamic of like the African tradition and the girl that felt his wife that felt guilty and that she wanted to get the scar on her face and those things, and then how she felt remorse, like that just put a whole different spin on just African culture that. I mean, I enjoyed reading the letters.
If we hadn't read the book, though, I think I would never have understood that, when Celie's daughter got, whatever they call it, the symbolism.
It wasn't her daughter, it was her son's wife.
Yeah.
Teshi.
Yeah. Tashi. Yeah. It was his wife, yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have either. Like, and just that whole mindset of, like, what she was going through, and then him, because he was slightly Americanized, like he's mad at first and doesn't want to speak to her and is upset about it, but then comes around. That's just because I think that's real.
Yeah.
Well, I think at the same time, I was very excited that like I knew in the movie that they ended together, but like how Olivia and Tashi had like that that bond, and like in the book it like described it and like how she learned their culture and stuff, and then how they ended up together, or Adam and Tashi. I love that, and I loved it in the movie, but I really even more loved it in the book because it just showed their dynamic even more. And I'm like, they were Americanized because they were born in America, but they were like fully engaged in what the African culture had to like offer. Yeah. So they were just like there to watch. They were there to experience. So to have Adam marry like Tashi and like the whole situation, I loved it.
I was surprised that they didn't bring the dad back. Like, the mom died over there in Africa, but I was just thinking she'd be able to say something. I mean, of course it wasn't in the book, but I wished Celie would have been able to thank that the father for, taking care of her kids. That'd have been kind of cool.
That was her husband. That was not her husband? Didn't they get married?
They did get married. You're talking about Nettie?
I thought that Nettie married her brother.
No, Nettie married the lady who took care of the kids when she died. Her husband.
Oh, I missed that. I thought she said, I hope you're not married. I married your brother.
No. I don't know what you're talking about, Rhea.
No,
conversation. So Celie.
I get what you're saying, but
that got married. Celie's son married a woman, and then Nettie married the family that was taking care of her. She married that husband.
I got it now. But how come he couldn't speak English?
I thought he could speak English. I don't know.
He came in there and was like, hey, how you doing?
Okay, so how do we love the cast on this? I mean, it's so old. We all know. I mean, we just love Whoopi Goldberg. I can't even imagine any other Celie.
Let me tell you something. Because of this movie, I despise Danny Glover to this day.
Come on, let it go.
That's a good actor.
I've actually met him in person last year, like 2019. I met him in person. I was in Richmond, Virginia at like some randomness, and he was like chilling like in his like booth, and I'm like, do I go say hi? So of course I did because I'm me. And he was just like the nicest person, and I'm like, you are not Mr.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah. But did you know
still, I was like, it was awesome to see, like, he wasn't the person that thought he was, but at the same time, he's still a Mr. though.
Yeah. Always.
And he's so soft spoken. Because remember we met him, Treva? Well, he was at something. Blacks in Government many, many years ago. And it's like he talks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like him.
I know, and I wanted him to be this like person, and I was like, I want to be angry at you, but you're eating like like a double cheeseburger. Like I
Now,
can't be to you.
don't get it twisted. I will fan out if I saw him and just go up to him and be like,
Oh, we know you will.
I can't stand you, but I love you at the same time. Because the reason I can't stand you is because you're an amazing actor, clearly. Because you will always be Mr. in Lethal Weapon, you Mr. And I cannot not see Mr. I'm sorry.
You the reason JJ don't talk to nobody.
Who?
JJ from Good Times, you know, he's anti.
Right.
They say that he don't like that stuff. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, that's why you got a little money. Are you crazy?
But I love the cast.
So I definitely was spoiled by the movie because of the age of the movie. But I watched the movie first, and then like I read the book. But as I was reading the book, it like the characters that they had casted, it fit perfectly. So I had no complaints over any of the characters, especially like for me. I mean, it sounds odd, but like Squeak or Mary Agnes, like her, like how about who this woman? Like the whole thing was literally it was who I imagined, and like I mean I know that's a significant character because it doesn't like make or break the movie, but like it was so spot on with casting that like even to her character that was who I imagined. So I was just so
Buster?
I forgot about Buster. Buster.
and like Lawrence Fishburne, like he's in like 50,000 movies between like 1970 and like 2020, and he is in that movie too. And he was like, "Oh, gotta go." Shut down his like piano and was out.
And what about what's her name? The Miss the mayor's wife.
Oh, she was perfect.
Her
The one that was stressed out.
Drive you home?
I don't know him either. I don't know him either. I don't like what they could have ran her over. Nobody would have known it.
Right. You know too many lines from this movie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I could like actually have a conversation in full on colorful quotes.
Yeah.
You know what? The only thing I mean, I love the casting, but I swear to this day, even when I recently watched it, I'm like, I don't know who did Harpo's makeup when he got old, but it wasn't good.
Terrible.
And
especially when they were doing like the old school dance, and they were like falling and
right. Oh my god.
It was like crinkle, crunch. Like what are you doing?
Yeah, it wasn't cute.
I would have if I would have read the book first on this. I don't know if I would have liked the descriptiveness or not. I can't really say because I love it in the book now that I've seen the movie first. So that's kind of a toss up to me. I don't know because knowing me, I probably wouldn't have if I watched the other way around. I don't know. It's just weird. But yeah, but I can't really complain.
Okay, y'all. Y'all ready to vote? Y'all ready to vote? Okay.
All right, I'll start it off.
Okay.
And I, like I said, remember reading this in high school after I watched the movie, but I remember like actually reading it for like a thesis paper, which first of all, thesis paper like scares you anyway. But I remember like trying to take away a lot of like the concepts in the book versus like what I had seen in the movie and not use the movie as my reference. And then referring back to it now, I love the adaptation because to me, like seeing the movie like at a young age or older age and then reading it twice or at least those times, I related so much to the book from the movie. So the book to the movie, but I loved it. So I give it a full glass. Besides the whole spiel of like letter to letter, I loved it. Full glass from Lynn.
I'll go next.
Full glass from Treva.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say the same thing. Full glass from me too. Full glass. I've had a few.
Like I said, I wasn't bothered by the changes. I was more bothered by the things they left out of the movie. I will give it a full glass.
Alrighty, that movie is a bottle. I agree with you, Champagne, though. I'm upset about what they left off, but I think they did a great job, and I liked it. And
I didn't finish the bottle anyway, so I might as well drink to it.
Yeah, I think this is number 5. Did you start a new bottle? Because there's only 4 in a bottle. Okay, anyway.
And we got background ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. The plethora.
Okay, so that's our rating for The Color Purple by Alice Walker, a full glass.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that, like,
Full
for
bottle.
me, it was a part of, like, my curriculum in high school. So I'm telling everybody, as an adult, like, fucking 20 years later, please read it. That way you get, like, a different concept of it. Not just, like, with the world going on around it, but, like, actual, like, to me, it was, like, so many different cultural aspects that I, like, learned about and talked about, like, personal, like reflection. Reread it as an adult, not as 18 or 17 or whatever. Reread it. All I gotta say.
Reread.
Glasses over there with you.
Reread it. Reread it.
I think Lynn has a few glasses of the Apothic.
Yeah, Lynn feeling good. Lynn feeling good tonight.
Okay, follow us.
On
You're gonna watch it and be like, oh my god.
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Thanks, guys. Follow us, like us, love us.
check us out on our website at www.readwatchwine.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.